So I'm not. To answer your question, as someone who's voted the last 3 years, I'm not sure yet. I'm leaning MacKinnon.
Well, let's bring in our lovely friend from ESPN. His name is John Buccigross. You know him, you love him, so do we. How are you, my friend?
Hello, boys. I've been
Good to
trying to
see you
connect for
again.
the past 5 minutes. I'm not late.
Oh, no, you are wonderful. And I see you wearing the college hockey shirt, and I've been wearing that hat for the last couple of weeks because the college hockey is getting good. We'll talk about NCAA stuff with you in a few minutes. But first, what do you think of those horrible, nasty people? They're not good people, those officials breaking up the goalie fight last night.
Yeah, that's rule number one. It can't happen. We love those goalie goals, goalie fights. It's a close one, isn't it? Who wins that battle?
When you say it can't happen, do you mean the fight or the referees breaking up the fight?
Yeah, the referee's breaking up the fight. My favorite is when you watch a Buffalo Sabre game and Rob Ray's like, "Let him go, let him go." He should have a T-shirt. Let him go.
I mean, there's no reason not to. If we're looking for entertainment here, like I got a push notification from your dear ESPN last night that said the goalies almost fought. If we're doing push notifications for things that almost happened, just let them happen. Grow the game.
Really, it's the entertainment business. That you can't get hurt dressed like that with that much padding. There's no worries there. It's great memories that we roll the video, going back the Patrick Waugh, Chris Osgood fight, and Mike Vernon and Byron Dafoe, and there's so many. And so yeah, I agree. That's commandment number one when you're. But again, if they're getting reprimanded and their job's on the line, I get why they do it. They must tell them you must do that or you will be fired. So maybe that's come up a few times.
We've got a mutual friend in Jeremy Swayman, and you're close with him, and you're also very close to the Bruins. Always like you're reporting on them. Did you see the Nikita Zadorov thing post game where he was kind of questioning why he was asked by Fluto Shinzawa how he felt about Swayman standing up for Husnudinov, and Zadorov said, "Oh, is that what he was doing? No comment." And that's weird to us, and that speaks to maybe some sort of unrest. And Zadorov is for sure Zadorov, but what do you make of the Bruins situation right now, just internally?
Yeah, there's obviously a vacuum there of leadership and roles, and where do I fit in the hierarchy? Maybe I'm sure there's situations in every sport at every level, going back to high school. Someone wants to be a leader, but the other guys are like, cringe, he's not a leader or she's not a leader. And so maybe some people feel like, Swayman's trying to make this, trying to become one of that upper tier leader now. Now that Marchand's gone, and we've kind of, what is this? And he wants to be in that first tier with McAvoy and Pastrnak, and maybe Zadorov sees him as a second tier guy or a third tier guy. But you're right, Zadorov goes back. Remember the comments with Nathan MacKinnon back a few years ago in the offseason that, that MacKinnon had to deal with, and how angry and bossy and looked at people what they ate for lunch and put that Pop-Tart down or I'll kick your ass kind of a thing. So, and I think Zadorov does cause some eye rolls and shoulder shrugs himself, but there could be something real there where players are, trying to get their leadership terrain for whatever reason.
I said at the beginning of the show here that I genuinely believe the Bruins are like a bottom 3 team in the league right now. How far away do you think they are at being relevant again? Like, is this a rebuild picture or is it a retool picture for you?
Yeah, I kind of look at them like the Washington Capitals. When you have Swayman and McAvoy and Pastrnak as your kind of core, that's really good. So from there, again, the Capitals got lucky with Oshie and Kuznetsov and Backstrom, right? Their salaries just kind of went away. And then it could kind of, they could do a lot. They could be aggressive. They could make the Dubois trade. They could give him a shot, see how that goes. But the Chychrun trade was obviously anybody could have made that trade. Someone else could have gotten him. They already have Carlson, which I think is borderline Hall of Fame guy, and Matt Roy is a great sign. Everyone who has late night hockey package watches Kings games the last few years, saying that guy's good. And then Michael Pops, Protas Pops. Wilson comes back as one of the most valuable players in the league with the way he plays bully hockey. Ovechkin has this kind of revitalization as it goes towards the record. Mangiapane's a smart sign. Like, and they just kind of hit home runs. If that's the Bruins, that's kind of their model. We got to maybe make a trade for a guy under contract. So that cap space isn't always about free agents. It's about trading for guys under contract who, for whatever reason, isn't working there. And obviously Dubois was the perfect number 2 guy. Strome was another guy who was kind of floating around, and they grabbed him. And so again, some luck there and some smarts at the same time. And now that's what the Bruins have to do. And when you have Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman, that's a pretty good start. And then from there, you build around them through trades, through free agents, just like the Capitals did. And that's what you hope to do.
Okay, this ties into something that Pete's kind of brought up a couple of times throughout the season and really amuses me and interests me. Is Evan Bouchard that guy for the Bruins?
Well,
because I know you're not a Bouchard guy.
I wouldn't say I'm not a Bouchard guy. I think, he's a specialist for sure. He's a power play specialist, which has import. It's helped them in the postseason and the regular season. So he would run the point power play, which they need. They need a point power play guy. And he would do that. He's a right-handed shot. So now you can get shutdown lefty, another shutdown lefty. So McAvoy can roam a bit, and play a little bit of offense and drive. So I don't hate that. Because I think that he's like Natchez to Carolina. I don't think Edmonton loves Bouchard, and they don't want to commit to him. And they'd rather go another 2-year contract or a 1-year RFA, whatever it is. So you have a chance to get him. The problem is, and going back to the Capitals, Bruins don't have a Protas or a McMichael ready to blossom. So there's 2 guys there. Okay, we got to find those guys. And again, that could come from a trade on guys on their roster now, if they have any value at all, or a first-round pick if they want to take it. Remember the Capitals trade, a first-round pick for Sandin, right? To Sandin, right? I'm drawing a blank. I'm trying to memorize I'm trying to memorize the Bentley roster right now. Sorry, my brain's kind of mushy. But
shout out Waltham.
They gave up a late. That's right. They gave up a late first round for him. I was like, that. I remember at that time, that's a pretty cool trade. This guy is like a 21, 22-year-old guy. He's like a pretty good player. And why not get some pretty good players that you can play right away? And so I think I just kind of like what the Capitals did. So that's kind of what the Bruins I think have to do. But yeah, Bouchard is an interesting. I can't quite see the trade there. I'd have to kind of what do the Bruins have left? But you never know. Yeah,
it's a good question.
That kind of guy. That's a good comp.
It does tie back to the Bruins because I believe that pick they flipped for Sandin was the Bruins pick for Dmitry Orlov. I could be wrong. On the Capitals, since you mentioned them, we discuss whenever teams take the leap and are a lot better than expected. Pete's usually really caught on this is that they usually got to get punched in the mouth first, and then maybe it's the next year, something like that. Because the Capitals have Ovechkin and Tom Wilson and guys who have kind of been there before. So does that not apply to this group? Could this be very for real in the postseason?
Yeah, I like that. That's I agree. Carlson too. Like I said, another Stanley Cup champion who's he's been there a long time. He's been punched in the mouth before by the Penguins. He's been punched enough. So yeah, those guys have been punched enough. So they're fine. And the other guys were punched career-wise, right? Strome and their goalie was cut by St. Louis, and their top 2 centers have been on 3 different teams at age 25. And so that whole roster has been through a lot. So I don't think they need to be punched in the mouth. It's just, will that goaltending hold up throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs? But they are 5-on-5 beasts, and they're really good. That physical play, just think of that. Just look at Detroit and Buffalo. When you think everything that they aren't, it's the Capitals and Tom Wilson. Wilson, he's like MVP territory this year to me. This is that culture of toughness that so many these teams don't have, that hurts them, like Detroit and Buffalo. Man, you got no chance without that. And he's brought that back this year in a big way. That's why that's the value that he brings. And then when he scores 30, my goodness, like I said, he's an absolute elite player, especially come playoff time.
Well, I wasn't going to ask this, but you said the words MVP. So a big debate that we've been having basically the entire year on the show, MacKinnon or Draisaitl. If you had to vote today, who would you give the heart to, MacKinnon or Draisaitl? Or would you give it to Hellebuck perhaps?
Man, it's so hard. I wouldn't give it to Hellebuck. That's it. That's right off the bat. I would not. I don't know if he'd be in my top five, to tell you the truth. But we'll see. I'm not a big goalie guy for Hart. Occasionally, like Hasek was like the extreme outlier for Buffalo back in the day. That was an obvious Hart kind of a goalie performance. But man, I watched them. I watched them every night. Both of them every night. MacKinnon is just so visually electric. Like an absolute, stadium concert, nuts, pyrotechnic type of thing. And that certainly can get your eyes going towards him. They both are lucky to play with Makar and McDavid that will push their stats up a bit. So man, it's so tough. I don't know. I've had a vote the last 2-3 years for the major awards, which came out of nowhere, very unexpected. And I love doing it, and even if it ended, I'd be cool because I got 3 of them. And so I'm not. To answer your question, as someone who's voted the last 3 years, I'm not sure yet. I'm leaning MacKinnon because I think if there was a draft for centers in the league, or even just players, just call it forwards, a non-defenseman goalie draft, everyone throws in the pot. I think MacKinnon would have more votes than Draisaitl going first overall, and some people would take him over McDavid. I think I really do think some people would take Nathan MacKinnon. Like not many. I think most people would take McDavid, but I think the next highest would be MacKinnon. And that doesn't answer your question who I would vote for MVP, but it gives you an idea what I'm talking about. How people look at him, and if he wins the scoring title, and and they keep vaulting up, and they finish the season, 16-2-2. Suddenly, is that him, or is that because they made those great trades for Nelson and Coyle, and they've got so deep now, and so where Draisaitl really has been carrying this team on his back the whole year because McDavid's had an off year, and Hyman hasn't quite scored like he used to, and so yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. To tell you the truth, I don't know. It's hard.
We see all of the updates and like the Hart tracker where people talk to voters, and everybody basically. I'm not blowing smoke. They do not put it as eloquently as you. They just say like, wow, with how the season started for Colorado, that they are where they are. I don't know how you don't give it to Nathan MacKinnon. And that makes me pull my hair out because I'm like, you don't give it to Nathan MacKinnon because Leon Draisaitl's been better. At the time of his injury, Draisaitl was first in goals, second in assists. MacKinnon was first in assists and 25th in goals or whatever. However, I respect saying just like I think he's a better player. I think that Draisaitl's the better player this season. My biggest pushback on MacKinnon right now, because I'm really just becoming an Avalanche head, is that he's not the MVP of his own team and that it's Chris McFarland. Like I really think that those moves, that the night of the Netjas trade and the Rantanen trade,
Chris McFarland can't be the MVP because there's the P.
Well, what's the P word that you're always saying that we say like, got to stop saying on the show? You're calling Sean it
A pussy.
Yes. So don't be a pussy. Vote for Chris McFarland. Yeah, my contention is that what MacKinnon gets credit for is really more of a roster construction thing. They're like, wow, how are they where they are with how things started? Their goaltending was a mess. Like, I don't think MacKinnon made that trade.
Yeah, but MacKinnon did keep them above water in the first 2 months of the season.
You could argue that Draisaitl kept them above water while Zach Hyman wasn't scoring for the first 5 years of the season. But I'm honestly kind of...
And goals are more important. Goals are more important than assists. Assists are easier than goals. He's played a better defensive game. He really has given that team kind of... carried them in almost like a presence way, right? As McDavid has struggled and fought a little bit and battled it and not scoring goals really the last couple of years. Like this isn't a little short thing for Connor. It's going back to the postseason since he won his Bouchard trophy in that amazing postseason. It's slowed down a bit offensively, goal scoring wise. And I always harp on this with these guys. They got to score goals in the playoffs. You need your best players to score goals. And Leon is doing that. So yeah, so like I said, so in the end, I'll look at it real carefully and I will think about that. But yeah, in the meantime, people look at him like, well, that's our best player. And we're looking in where I think Colorado, you have Makar, who some people are like, that's our best player right there. And so that might be split. So that might be enough, like you said, to got to go towards Leon. But it's great. It's a great vote. It's fun. And I will be focused on it to try to do the right thing.
We all silly like the mayor.